Whenever I'm doing videos with Shari, it's so easy because I just turn to her and I'm like, how old was I when that happened? What works for one person is not gonna work for everyone. I was not prepared for what happened when I went to uni. I experienced probably like the worst social anxiety. I was relieved, but why can't I just be normal? Why can't I just have normal skin? Hi guys, welcome back to Shnaks' YouTube channel. My name is Ethel. I am one half of Shnaks. If you are new here, please join the family, subscribe. I'm sure you're gonna love what we have in store and what we've already put out. And if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. It's been a minute. It's nice to see that you guys are still with here. You guys are still writing for us. And in today's video, I'm doing this alone, which feels a bit different. It's my first video alone on the channel. I'll just basically be taking you guys through my skincare journey. Some of you might know that I have struggled with eczema in the past. I have had, I think it's called atopic dermatitis in some places, and psoriasis, all of that. I've been dealing with that for a number of years. I think most seriously since in the last maybe 6 or 7 years or so. But yeah, I've had it since childhood. And I thought that I would share my journey, share what has helped me and how I've dealt with the things I've struggled with, ranging from body image issues. I think there's like a lot of like social anxiety that comes about after going through stuff like that. Then also just to share in my journey currently, where I'm at right now, what works best for me, and my skincare plugs in Kampala, because we know, yeah, things can get pretty difficult to find. So if you're interested in any of that content, please stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share the video with someone who you think might enjoy it. So backtrack, I think I wanted to start this video by talking about my first interactions that I can remember with eczema and how it like shifted my life in a way that I was like, why is this thing just like being an inconvenience to me? First vivid memory of eczema in my life was my mom telling me that we're going to the salon to like trim my hair. So I think I had quite short hair at that time, but like I had hair, so it's easier to like reach the parts where there's like psoriasis or eczema or whatever. So we get to the salon, I'm like, yeah, this is fine, I'll stop itching as much and all of that. And first of all, I should have known. I was sitting in a barber's chair, like I should have known. But turns out my mom tells the guy that we are chopping all of the hair off. All of it is going, all of it. I was just like, oh my God, what's happening? So this was the first time I think I was just like, this eczema thing is kind of ruining life for me. Also guys, please note I have selective memory loss, and a lot of my childhood and like that part of my life, which I don't think was like particularly traumatic or anything, I don't remember a lot of it. So actually whenever I'm doing videos with Shari, it's so easy because I just turn to her and I'm like, how old was I when that happened? Or yeah, so now I'll be asking Shari, I'd be like, Shari, how old was I when my hair was cut off? I felt like a boy. And it was even the time when I had glasses. I had no problem with my eyes, but then I had convinced myself, because my older sister wore glasses, that like I needed glasses. So imagine like a short-haired Ethel with glasses walking around school. And then like between that, so that was like primary school, I think, or like early high school. Between that and university, I think it was just like trying a number of different things that didn't work for my eczema. I have suffered with eczema on my scalp, on my arms here, my neck, different parts of my face at different points in my life. But I think my earliest experience of eczema was on my scalp, on my hands, and behind my knees. So those are like the 3 places. I hadn't yet touched my face or anywhere like that. And obviously, man, my mom saw how much it was affecting me and how uncomfortable I felt like dealing with this thing. So obviously she looked for every possible solution, and I love her so much for that. At first, like that, at that point in your life where you're like, is this a food allergy? Or is it an allergy to something that like I'm using currently in my like lotions or Vaselines? So trust me, like the number of times I've changed like oils or Vaselines that I use are like countless. I've probably run through everything. I think one of the most vivid memories I have of that period of like trying out things is when, you know, when like your mom finds something and she's like, oh wow, this is definitely gonna work. Like I've had great reviews about it. And I think it was aloe vera. No, it was definitely aloe vera, but I can't remember what form it was, whether it was like in the plant form or whether it was like in a lotion form. Because you know, sometimes when you put on medicine, and this is also just like a myth that I feel like we need to dispel, but the idea that like sometimes medicines are supposed to sting you before they start helping you. So basically they put the aloe vera, I think I remember it was on my hands. That one I remember very clearly, it was on my arms. They put it on and it was burning me. Basically I was just like sitting there, and obviously I started complaining, but then it was also this thing of like, man, like just wait it out, it's gonna be fine, it's gonna be fine. I basically found out that I was allergic to like aloe vera through that experience, and it taught me that like what works for one person is not gonna work for everyone. Fast forward to university, I think my transition from high school to uni was that like, oh yeah, I have eczema, but that I know how to manage it in terms of weather changes. I just know that like when the weather gets really dry, I have to like moisturize a lot more than a normal person, and when it's really hot, I should protect myself from the sun. So like sunscreen, staying out from direct sunlight for like extended periods of time, things like that. I was not prepared for what happened when I went to uni.
The pressure is getting...
So I obviously switched countries, and I'd never had eczema in extreme winter conditions or even extreme summer, and like the temperatures would be quite like wild, so really high and then really low in winter. And shock of my life, I thought I'd experienced bad eczema, and then I went to uni. This was my first time from away from home. I had never been to boarding school, so I was really excited to like discover myself and like make so many new friends and like have a social life and just discover things about myself and about people around me. So this means like I was interested in like going out to parties and things like that, but I experienced probably like the worst social anxiety, because sometimes I wonder, I'm like, how comes I didn't have as much of a social life in uni? Then I'm like, it probably was this thing that you were dealing with. I realized very quickly that my skin was not responding to how I usually treated it when I got flare-ups. I can't remember the first thing I used, but I also thought that like, oh yeah, okay, I was in a different country, so I thought that they would have skincare medication that would work better, basically. This is also a warped mentality and a warped perspective I have, but you know, trying to change and grow. So yeah, I was like, no, I'm in South Africa, I'm so sure that like the medication here, like they would have stuff to help me deal with whatever it is I was going through. The number of different things I've tried that some of them I still incorporate now, but the ones that tried and failed, at least from what I remember from that time, is that I tried Epimax, because everyone told me that Epimax works really well for dry skin, and I was like, yeah, during the winter, my skin reached the point where it was like cracking. I'm sure anyone who knew me in uni knew that I struggled with eczema. I didn't have to tell you, you could see it. Like, I remember in winter, there were like dry patches of skin on my forehead, on my cheeks. My neck, I think, was like the most irritating or annoying, because you know when you have like long braids and you like sweat a bit or it gets hot, then you know the first part that gets itchy is around here. And I think when I would come home for holidays, sometimes my mom would go like see another doctor and get some more medication, and I'd try it out, and I mean it would work and maybe it would calm. Usually when I was home, it wasn't as bad as when I was at school, because I felt like my body just wanted to be home, I guess. And also I was able to adjust to a familiar weather seasons and weather patterns. So basically, yeah, it was trying out new things when I'd come back home, and also just having to deal with that transition. It's like I would get used to the routine at uni, and like maybe some of the medicines or some of the things I'm using are working. Then I'd have to come back home and switch in weather, so I'm switching, and then I'm going back, then I'm switching. So sometimes I actually think that if I'd stayed in one place for a longer period of time, I would have got into more of a routine and let my skin adjust to the weather patterns. I think by now you can tell my skin is like extremely sensitive. Sometimes it's even difficult to explain to people just how sensitive my skin is. But when I see my skin flourishing, I'm always just like, what? Is this my skin? You mean like mine? So basically, in my first 2 years of uni, there was not much change. I found out my dad spoke to someone he knew who was a doctor in South Africa, and he recommended just going for an allergy test, because I'd actually never gone for an allergy test. I think I might have gone for one, had an allergy test once here, but like also because I was clearly reacting to something new. I go for the allergy test, results come out, and turns out I am allergic to dust mites that apparently are in, like, if you don't iron your beddings, and if you don't, like, if they're not washed as frequently as they need to be washed. That was my allergy. And when I found out, I was like, really? My life is made difficult because of this. I was relieved, but also just like frustrated. I was like, why am I so sensitive? Why can't I just be normal? Why can't I just have like a normal body and normal skin? But that was literally the turning point for me. I think after that, I was obviously able to get into the right medication. Basically, what I got into for like the first 6 months to 1 year after doing that allergy test was like to reverse what the allergy had done to my skin and to my body. And so that really helped, and it worked well. And I think just going back to that point, before I was able to do the allergy test, I think a big thing for me was struggling with insecurities. Obviously, I would come back home and I would want to go out and I'd want to spend time with my friends, but I was like, I'd rather be indoors for several reasons. Number one was because I'm like, if I'm indoors, then I don't have to worry about like, if I'm itchy, I can like access my medicine really quickly. I don't get so many questions about what are you putting on, why are you using that medicine, what is it for, what da da da. And then it's just like physically how I looked and how I had to dress for certain occasions. Actually, just basically being in public for me was such a task. I remember in uni, there was like a golden key ceremony and we had to dress up. Like it was like a black tie sort of like fancy event. And I was really excited about getting into golden key. And so I was like, oh yeah, we're going. And a couple of my friends are going in. So we all like were planning around it. And I remember going shopping for what I was gonna wear, and guys, I shopped for like a turtleneck dress with long sleeves. Let me tell you, it was not even close to winter. Like it was pretty hot and I could have worn whatever I wanted. Like I'm not really like a long sleeved kind of girl. Then I remember also like being in pictures. I remember coming back home and then guys wanted to take pictures, and guys are like, oh yeah, you're a photographer, why are you never in pictures? And I'm like, guys, because I hate seeing the impact that my eczema had on me and all of that. But it definitely affected my enthusiasm to be outside of the house or to be outside from my space, like to even meet new people. Because I was like, okay, if like my people know about what I'm going through, then I just want to spend time with them. Like I don't see the need to like go out and meet new people. I feel like a lot of my experiences during that time have sort of been repressed. Like I can't remember everything vividly, and I think you might tell from like the way I'm telling the story. It was a dark time. Like I'm not even gonna lie and say like, oh yeah, it wasn't that bad. I remember like reading the Bible and reading about like people's testimonies and reading about things people considered to be the thorns in their flesh. If you read the Bible, or if you have ever heard of that phrase, then you know what I mean. But basically it means that something that you feel like is such a big burden on you and you don't know why you have it because you didn't really do anything for it. I mean, in my case, yeah, eczema is genetic. It runs in my family on my mom's side. So I know it's a genetic condition. Is it really called a condition? I don't know. But I was like, if God could take this thing for me, I feel like I could be normal or have like a close to normal life. So it was a really big deal for me. One of the biggest turning points, or one of the points that I remember like my thought process about like eczema and living with eczema changed, was when I realized, first of all, when I believed that I was healed. I think a lot of my insecurities and all of that came from attaching myself to eczema, saying like, Ethel with eczema. I'm not thinking of myself as existing outside of this person who has eczema, because I would always think about things I can or can't do because of my eczema. I would be like, I can't go swimming because of my eczema. It's going to get really dry and I don't feel like having to deal with it. Or I would say, like how I just described my clothing and like things I would wear. I remember even going through like a choker phase and wearing chokers. I was never actually really into chokers, but I would wear chokers because I felt like it would hide more of the parts that I wasn't secure in. I started just living my life like someone who already believed in their mind that they were healed. I started doing things like wearing makeup or asking my friends who were into makeup like what products they used and where to like find them and stuff like that, because for me that was like reclaiming how guys are always just like, oh yeah, you have eczema, so don't touch your skin, like don't put anything in your skin. But I was like, no, I also want to look pretty and I want to be able to like feel comfortable in my skin. Around the time I did the allergy test was around the time I also started getting really interested in like my body and the things I put into my body, how they affect me. This goes to do with like diet and exercise, and that's when I became a lot more conscious about being healthy. And I think I had worked out before, but I had never actually like seen results in my workouts. And that was the time when like I started going to the gym a lot more and became consistent and started to use it more of like a mental break than like oh yeah, I'm trying to get abs in 2 weeks, so I want to like have this workout program for like a month and then stop. So I started to see it more as like a helping my mentor and helping me feel more comfortable in myself. It's interesting how the switch I was talking about earlier also came with like me being more concerned about the things I put into my body. I can't say I'm the healthiest person right now. I am fighting everything in me to get back to like a consistent workout routine that works for me and my schedule. So I wanted to also speak about like where I'm at right now and how I deal with, or how I'm dealing with my skincare struggles. I think I claim sensitive skin more than I claim like eczema or anything. Like I'm learning how to treat my skin or think about my skin outside of having eczema. Like sometimes I just have skin and I just treat it like skin. I've learned a lot in the last, let's say like 6 years, and how to like deal with flare-ups, makeup products. And I think something that really bothered me when I was like transitioning to like being a makeup girl and liking makeup, just exploring different things. Like I like scented things sometimes and I'm like, oh, why can't I use them? I tweeted sometime about how I really want to see more representation or stories or black women who have eczema talking about the non-medicated products they use. Because I was like, I don't want to live on like having to go to a pharmacy to get my lotions and stuff every time I need to buy them. I was like, that's not cost effective, first of all. Second of all, I'm not trying to be a patient my whole life. Like I'm trying to transition away from this medicines and things that I was using at the time. I thought about recommending some medicated products I use, but then I'm not gonna do that because I don't have a license to do that, and I'm not trying to like anyone's skin up. So some of the products I use are medicated, but I use medicated products only when I have flare-ups. And I'm growing, I'm learning. It's a learning curve. I'm really trying to move away from self-medicating. So that whole thing of like, oh, this is itching, let me go grab this. Even if I know it works for me, I know that long term it's not doing anything for my skin.